eye is burning. What? Did you bring it back? And I can't see it. She does that all to me a lot with the ball. I can't see it. Where is it? Go get your ball. Go get your ball. Where's your ball? Well, you have to be quiet now. Hush. It's devotion time now. I went to give her coffee. She don't want any. Okay. Let's get started. Our Father, let's do this one. Our Father in heaven, may your name be kept holy. May your kingdom come soon. May your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today the food we need, and forgive us our sins, as we have forgiven those who sin against us. And don't let us yield to temptation, but rescue us from the evil one. I didn't add her here yet. Lord, Jehovah, thank you for another beautiful day on your beautiful earth. And thank you for allowing us to wake up today. And thank you for what you did for us in the past, present, and what you will do for us in the future. Thank you for, please help the fallen people who needs help with the cancer. Isabella Strahan, Tate who has a heart condition as well. And Cindy Lee, Lisa, Shannon Doherty, King Charles, Princess Kate, and Jen's friend Shannon. Please help them and cure them, Jehovah, of their cancers. Put your healing hands on their heads or wherever their cancer is and cure their cancers and give them physical and mental strength to help them fight it off. And Celine Dion, who has stiff person syndrome, please help her and give her physical mental strength to fight off her disease as well. Jenny is in the help Christina with her medical issues. Give her a better attitude and calm her down, as well as her adult kids disrespecting her. Help Jenny. She's sick. She has she hurt her back. She said what it was. I can't remember. And her kidney stone is still in her kidney, but that's small enough. It will pass eventually. So the back problem causes her to get sick and throw up and stuff. So it's probably not vertigo. So, but who knows? It could still be vertigo. So who knows? Help Tiffany. She had her knee surgery and she's home recuperating, I believe, because she couldn't stand Jen's because she couldn't do the stairs. Help Robin with her grandkids lost their mom. Poor kids. Kids shouldn't lose their mommies. Adults shouldn't lose their mommies. And help Robin with her physical stuff and the mental stuff as well. help Miss Diane transition to resting quick and easy, and help her daughters get through it, and help her daughters get a permanent a place to stay, to live. Help Artie, Vicky, and family, Carol and mom, and everything they need. In Jesus' name, amen.
Chapter 31. In time, he heard what the sons of Laban were saying.
Jacob has taken everything that belonged to our father, and from what belonged to our father, he has amassed all this wealth.
When Jacob would look at the face of Laban, he saw that his attitude toward him was not what it used to be. Finally, Jehovah said to Jacob, "Return to the land of your fathers and to your relatives, and I will continue with you." Then Jacob sent a message to Rachel and Leah to come out to the field to his flock. And he said to them,
"I have seen that your father's attitude toward me has changed, but the God of my father has been with me. You yourselves certainly know that I have served your father with all my power. And your father has tried to cheat me and has changed my wages 10 times. But God has not allowed him to do me harm. If on the one hand he would say, 'The speckled ones will be your wages,' then the whole flock produced speckled ones. But if on the other hand he would say, 'The striped ones will be your wages,' then the whole flock produced striped ones. So God kept taking your father's livestock away from him and giving it to me. Once, when the flock got into heat, I raised my eyes and saw in a dream that the he-goats mating with the flock were speckled and spotty. Then the angel of the true God said to me in the dream, 'Jacob,' to which I said, 'Here I am.' And he continued, 'Raise your eyes, please, and see that all the he-goats mating with the flock are striped, speckled, and spotty. For I have seen all that Laban is doing to you. I am the true God of Bethel, where you anointed a pillar, and where you made a vow to me. Now get up, go out of this land.'"
I'm pausing this. I'm sorry. She has to go potty. I took her out before we started. She just has to go in. It happens in the morning. I'm the same way. Go pee. I knew it. Gotta go poo.
And return to the land of your birth.
At this, Rachel and Leah answered him,
Is there any share left for us to inherit in our father's house? Does he not consider us as foreigners, since he has sold us and has been using up the money given for us? All the riches that God has taken away from our father are ours and our children's. So then, do everything that God has told you to do.
Then Jacob got up and lifted his children and his wives on the camels, and he began driving all his herd and all the goods that he had accumulated, the livestock in his possession that he had accumulated in Paddan Aram, to go to Isaac his father in the land of Canaan. Now Laban had gone to shear his sheep, and Rachel stole the teraphim statues that belonged to her father. Moreover, Jacob outwitted Laban the Aramean, for he had not told him that he was running away. And he ran away and crossed the river, he and all he had. Then he headed toward the mountainous region of Gilead. On the third day, Laban was told that Jacob had run away. So he took his brothers with him and pursued him for a journey of 7 days, and caught up with him in the mountainous region of Gilead. Then God came to Laban the Aramean in a dream by night, and said to him, Be careful about what you say to Jacob, either good or bad. So Laban approached Jacob, as Jacob had pitched his tent in the mountain, and Laban had encamped with his brothers in the mountainous region of Gilead. Then Laban said to Jacob,
What have you done? Why have you resorted to outwitting me and carrying my daughters off like captives taken by the sword? Why did you run away secretly and outwit me and not tell me? If you had told me, I could have sent you away with rejoicing and with songs, with tambourine and with harp. But you did not give me a chance to kiss my grandchildren and my daughters. You have acted foolishly. It is in my power to do harm to you. But the God of your father spoke to me last night, saying, Be careful about what you say to Jacob, either good or bad. Now you have gone because you have been longing to return to the house of your father. But why have you stolen my gods?
Jacob answered Laban,
It was because I was afraid, for I said to myself, You might take your daughters away from me by force. Anyone with whom you find your gods will not live. Before our brothers, examine what I have and take what is yours.
Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen them. So Laban went into the tent of Jacob, and into the tent of Leah, and into the tent of the two slaves.
Hi, Kim. Thank you. It's okay if you're too busy. You stopped in to say hello. But if you ever get a chance, if you hear this, please stop by when I'm coloring. Today, it's what is it called? I can't remember where you can go live with me. That site that that you use. I do that on Saturdays.
Gods, but did not find them. Then he came out of Leah's
StreamYards.
tent and went into Rachel's
Good job.
tent. Meanwhile, Rachel had taken the teraphim statues and put them in the woman's saddle basket of the camel, and she was sitting on them. So Laban searched through the whole tent, but did not find them. Then she said to her father,
Do not be angry, my lord, because I am not able to get up before you, for the customary thing with women is upon me.
So he searched
What?
on carefully, but did
Is that what
not
they
find
called
the
it?
teraphim statues. At that, Jacob became angry and began to criticize Laban. Jacob then said to Laban,
What is my offense? And for what sin are you hotly pursuing me? Now that you have searched through all my goods, what have you found that belongs to your house? Put it here in front of my brothers and your brothers, and let them decide between the two of us. During these 20 years that I've been with you, your sheep and your goats never miscarried, and I never ate the rams of your flock. I did not bring you any animal torn by wild beasts. I would stand the loss of it myself, whether the animal was stolen by day or was stolen by night. You would demand compensation from me. By day, the heat consumed me, and the cold by night, and sleep would flee from my eyes. This makes 20 years for me in your house. I have served you 14 years for your 2 daughters, and 6 years for your flock. And you kept changing my wages 10 times. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the one whom Isaac fears had not been on my side, you would now have sent me away empty-handed. God has seen my affliction and the toil of my hands, and that is why he reproved you last night.
Then Laban answered Jacob,
The daughters are my daughters, and the children my children, and the flock my flock. And everything you are looking at is mine and my daughters. What can I do today against these or against their children whom they have borne? Now come, let us make a covenant, you and I, and it will serve as a witness between us.
So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. Then Jacob said to his brothers,
Pick up stones.
and they took stones and made a pile. After that they ate there on the pile of stones. And Laban began calling it Jegar-sahadutha,
Okay.
but Jacob called it Gilead.
Sorry.
Laban then said,
This pile of stones is a witness between me and you today.
that is why he named it Gilead and the watchtower. For he said,
Let Jehovah keep watch between you and me when we are out of each other's sight. If you mistreat my daughters, and if you start taking wives in addition to my daughters, though there is no man with us, remember that God will be a witness between you and me.
Laban went on to say to Jacob,
Here is this pile of stones, and here is the pillar that I have erected between you and me. This pile of stones is a witness, and the pillar is something that bears witness, that I will not pass beyond this pile of stones to bring harm to you, and you will not pass beyond this pile of stones and this pillar to bring harm to me. Let the God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, the God of their father, judge between us.
and Jacob
Oh,
swore by
oh.
the one whom his father Isaac fears.
Oh, excuse me.
After that, Jacob offered a sacrifice in the mountain and invited his brothers to eat
Oh,
bread.
excuse me. Sorry.
So they ate and spent the night in the mountain. However, Laban got up early in the morning and kissed his grandchildren and his daughters and blessed them. Then Laban departed and returned home.
It's a little sad.
Chapter 32. Jacob then went on his way, and the angels of God met up with him. As soon as he saw them, Jacob said,
This is the camp of God.
So he named the place Mahanaim. Then Jacob sent messengers ahead of him to his brother Esau in the land of Seir, the territory of Edom, and he commanded them,
This is what you will say to my lord, to Esau. This is what your servant Jacob says. I have resided with Laban for a long time until now, and I have acquired bulls, donkeys, sheep, and male and female servants. And I send this message to inform my lord, in order to find favor in your eyes.
In time the messengers returned to Jacob, saying,
I wish this
We
scroll.
met your brother
Scroll.
Esau, and he is now on his way to meet you. And there are 400 men with him.
And Jacob became very frightened and anxious. So he divided the people who were with him, as well as the flocks, the cattle, and the camels, into 2 camps. He said,
If Esau attacks the one camp, then the other camp will be able to escape.
After that, Jacob said,
"O God of my father Abraham, and God of my father Isaac, O Jehovah, you who are saying to me, 'Return to your land and to your relatives, and I will deal well with you.' I am unworthy of all the loyal love and of all the faithfulness that you have shown toward your servant. For with only my staff I crossed this Jordan, and now I have become two camps. Save me, I pray you, from the hand of my brother Esau, for I am afraid of him, that he may come and attack me, as well as the mothers and their children. And you have said, 'I will certainly deal well with you, and I will make your offspring like the grains of sand of the sea, which are too numerous to count.'"
and he spent the night there. Then he took some of his possessions as a gift for Esau his brother: 200 female goats, 20 male goats, 200 female sheep, 20 rams, 30 camels nursing their young, 40 cows, 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys, and 10 full-grown male donkeys. He handed them over to his servants, one drove after another, and he said to his servants,
"Cross over ahead of me, and you are to set a space between one drove and the next.
He also commanded the first one,
In case Esau, my brother, should meet you and ask, 'To whom do you belong? And where are you going? And to whom do these ahead of you belong?' Then you should say, 'To your servant Jacob. It is a gift sent to my lord, to Esau. And look, he himself is also behind us.'"
and he commanded also the second, the third, and all those following the droves.
"According to this word, you are to speak to Esau when you meet him. And you should also say, 'Here is your servant Jacob behind us.'
For he said to himself,
If I appease him by sending a gift ahead of me, then afterward when I see him, he may give me a kindly reception."
Where is it?
So the gift crossed over ahead of him, but he himself spent the night in the camp.
Show me.
Later during that night, he rose and took his 2 wives and his 2 female servants and his 11 young sons, and crossed over the ford of Jabbok. So he took them and brought them across the stream, and he brought over everything else he had. Finally, Jacob was left by himself. Then a man began to wrestle with him until the dawn broke. When he saw that he had not prevailed over him, he touched the socket of his hip, and the socket of Jacob's hip was dislocated during his wrestling with him. After that he said,
"Let me go, for the dawn is breaking."
To this he said,
"I am not going to let you go until you bless me."
So he said to him,
"What is your name?"
to which he said,
"Jacob."
Then he said,
"Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, for you have contended with God and with men, and you have at last prevailed."
In turn Jacob inquired,
"Tell me, please, your name."
However, he said,
"Why is it that you ask my name?"
with that he blessed him there. So Jacob named the place Peniel, for he said,
"I have seen God face to face, yet my life was preserved."
And the sun rose upon him as soon as he passed by Penuel, but he was limping because of his hip. That is why to this day the sons of Israel are not accustomed to eat the thigh sinew, which is on the socket of the hip joint, because he touched the socket of Jacob's hip joint by the thigh sinew. Chapter 33. Now Jacob raised his eyes and saw Esau coming, and 400 men were with him. So he divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and the 2 female servants. He put the female servants and their children in front, Leah and her children after them, and Rachel and Joseph behind them. Then he himself went ahead of them, and bowed down to the earth 7 times as he came near to his brother. But Esau ran to meet him, and he embraced him and kissed him, and they burst into tears. When he raised his eyes and saw the women and the children, he said, "Who are these with you?" To which he said,
The children with whom God has favored your servant.
At that the female servants came forward with their children and bowed down. And Leah too came forward with her children, and they bowed down. Then Joseph came forward with Rachel, and they bowed down. Esau said,
"What is the purpose of all this camp of travelers that I have met?"
He replied,
In order to find favor in the eyes of my Lord.
Then Esau said,
"I have a great many possessions, my brother. Keep what is yours."
However, Jacob said,
No, please. If I have found favor in your eyes, you must take my gift from my hand, because I brought it so that I could see your face. And I have seen your face, as though seeing God's face, in that you received me with pleasure. Take, please, the gift conveying my blessing that was brought to you. For God has favored me, and I have everything I need.
and he continued to urge him, so that he took it. Later Esau said,
"Let us move out and go, and let me go in advance of you."
but he said to him,
My Lord is aware that the children are delicate, and that in my care are sheep and cattle nursing their young. If they are driven too quickly for one day, then the whole flock will die. Let my Lord please go on ahead of his servant, but I will continue the journey more slowly, at the pace of my livestock and of the children, until I come to my Lord at Seir.
Then Esau said,
"Please, let me leave some of my people with you."
to this he said,
Why do this? Just let me find favor in the eyes of my Lord.
So that day Esau went on his way back to Seir. And Jacob journeyed to Succoth, and he built a house for himself, and he made shelters for his herd. That was why he named the place Succoth. After journeying from Paddan Aram, Jacob arrived safely at the city of Shechem, in the land of Canaan, and he set up his camp near the city. Then he acquired a portion of the field where he pitched his tent from the sons of Hamor, the father of Shechem, for 100 pieces of money. There he set up an altar and called it God, the God of Israel. Chapter 34. Now Dinah, Jacob's daughter by Leah, used to go out to spend time with the young women of the land. When Shechem, the son of Hamor the Hivite, a chieftain of the land, saw her, he took her and lay down with her and violated her. And he became very attached to Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and he fell in love with the young woman and spoke persuasively to her. Finally Shechem said to Hamor his father,
Get me this young woman to be my wife.
When Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah his daughter, his sons were with his herd in the field. So Jacob kept silent until they returned. Later Hamor, Shechem's father, went out to speak with Jacob. But the sons of Jacob heard about it and returned from the field right away. They were offended and very angry because he had disgraced Israel by lying down with Jacob's daughter, something that should not be done. Hamor spoke with them, saying,
My son Shechem longs for your daughter. Please give her to him as his wife and form marriage alliances with us. Give us your daughters and take our daughters for yourselves. You may dwell with us, and the land will become available for you. Dwell and carry on trade in it and settle in it.
Then Shechem said to her father and to her brothers,
Let me find favor in your eyes. and I will give you whatever you ask me. You can demand for me a very high price and gift. I am willing to give whatever you may say to me. Just give me the young woman as a wife.
And Jacob's sons answered Shechem and Hamor his father deceitfully, because he had defiled Dinah their sister. They said to them,
We cannot possibly do such a thing, to give our sister to a man who is not circumcised, for that is a disgrace to us.
We can only consent on this condition, that you become like us and circumcise all your males. Then we will give our daughters to you, and we will take your daughters for ourselves, and we will dwell with you and become one people.
But if you do not listen to us and get circumcised, then we will take our daughter and go.
Their words pleased Hamor and Shechem, Hamor's son. The young man did not delay in doing what they asked, because he found delight in Jacob's daughter, and he was the most honorable of the whole house of his father. So Hamor and his son Shechem went to the city gate and spoke to the men of their city, saying,
These men wish to be at peace with us. Let them dwell in the land and carry on trade in it, for the land is large enough to accommodate them. We can take their daughters as wives, and our daughters we can give to them. Only on this one condition will the men consent to dwell with us in order to become one people, that every male among us be circumcised just the way they are circumcised. Then will not their possessions, their wealth, and all their livestock be ours? So let us give them our consent that they may dwell with us.
All those going out by the gate of his city listened to Hamor and to his son Shechem, and all the males got circumcised, all those going out of the city gate. However, on the third day, when they were still in pain, two sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, each took his sword and went into the unsuspecting city and killed every male. They killed Hamor and his son Shechem with the sword, and then took Dinah from Shechem's house and left. Jacob's other sons came upon the slain men and plundered the city, because they had defiled their sister. They took their flocks, their herds, their donkeys, and whatever was in the city and in the field. They also took all their possessions, captured all their little children and their wives, and plundered everything in the houses. At this, Jacob said to Simeon and to Levi,
You have brought great trouble on me in making me a stench to the inhabitants of the land, to the Canaanites and the Perizzites. I am few in number, and they will certainly gather together to attack me, and I will be annihilated, I and my house.
Sorry guys for the noise.
Should anyone treat our sister like a prostitute?
Chapter 35. After that,
Alright. It's... Oh, okay.
God said to Jacob, Rise, go up to Bethel and dwell there, and make an altar there to the true God, who appeared to you when you were running away from Esau your brother. Then Jacob said to his household and to all who were with him,
Get rid of the foreign gods that are in your midst, and cleanse yourselves and change your garments, and let us rise and go up to Bethel. There I will make an altar to the true God, who answered me in the day of my distress, and who has been with me wherever I have gone.
So they gave Jacob all the foreign gods they had, and the earrings that were in their ears, and Jacob buried them under the big tree that was close to Shechem. When they traveled on, the terror of God struck the cities around them, so they did not chase after the sons of Jacob. Jacob eventually came to Luz, that is, Bethel, in the land of Canaan, he and all the people with him. There he built an altar, and called the place El Bethel, because there the true God had revealed himself to him when he had run away from his brother. Later, Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died, and was buried at the foot of Bethel under an oak. So he named it Allon-Bachuth. God appeared to Jacob once again while he was coming from Paddan Aram and blessed him. God said to him, Your name is Jacob. Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel will be your name. And he began to call him Israel. God further said to him, I am God Almighty. Be fruitful and become many. Nations and a congregation of nations will come from you, and kings will descend from you. As for the land that I have given to Abraham and to Isaac, to you I will give it, and to your offspring after you I will give the land. Then God went up from him at the place where he had spoken with him. So Jacob set up a pillar in the place where he had spoken with him, a pillar of stone, and he poured a drink offering on it, and poured oil on it. And Jacob continued to call the place where God had spoken with him, Bethel. Then they pulled away from Bethel. And while they were still some distance from Ephrath, Rachel began to give birth, and her labor was very difficult.
Oh no.
But while she was struggling to deliver the child, the midwife said to her,
Do not be afraid, for you will have this son also.
just as her life was slipping away, for she was dying, she named him Ben-Oni, but his father called him Benjamin. So Rachel died and was buried on the way to Ephrath,
That's
that
sad.
is, Bethlehem. Jacob set up a pillar over her grave. It is the pillar of Rachel's grave to this day. After that, Israel pulled away and pitched his tent a distance beyond the Tower of Eder. Once, while Israel was dwelling in that land, Reuben went and lay down with Bilhah, his father's concubine, and Israel heard about it. So there were 12 sons of Jacob. The sons by Leah were Jacob's firstborn Reuben, then Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. The sons by Rachel were Joseph and Benjamin. And the sons by Bilhah, Rachel's servant, were
Rachel
Dan
only
and
had two?
Naphtali. And the sons by Zilpah, Leah's servant, were Gad and Asher. These are Jacob's sons, who were born to him in Paddan Aram. Jacob eventually came to where his father Isaac was, at Mamre, to Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, where Abraham and also Isaac had resided as foreigners. Isaac lived to be 180 years old. Then Isaac breathed his last and died, and was gathered to his people after a long and satisfying life.
No.
And his sons Esau and Jacob buried him.
Mm.
Chapter 36. This is the history of Esau, that is, Edom. Esau took his wives from the daughters of Canaan, Adah, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, and Aholibamah, the daughter of Anah, the granddaughter of Zibeon the Hivite, and Basemath, Ishmael's daughter, the sister of Nebaioth. And Adah bore Eliphaz to Esau, and Basemath bore Ruel, and Aholibamah bore Jeush, Jalem, and Korah. These are the sons of Esau, who were born to him in the land of Canaan. After that, Esau took his wives, his sons, his daughters, all the members of his household, his herd, and all his other beasts, and all the wealth he had accumulated in the land of Canaan. And he went to another land, some distance away from Jacob his brother, for their goods had become too many for them to dwell together, and the land where they were residing was not able to sustain them because of their herds. So Esau took up dwelling in the mountainous region of Seir. Esau is Edom. And this is the history of Esau, the father of Edom, in the mountainous region of Seir. These are the names of the sons of Esau: Eliphaz, the son of Adah, Esau's wife; Ruel, the son of Basemath, Esau's wife. The sons of Eliphaz were Teman, Omar, Zepho, Gatam, and Kenaz. Timnah became the concubine of Eliphaz, Esau's son. In time she bore to Eliphaz Amalek. These are the sons of Adah, Esau's wife. These are the sons of Ruel: Nahath, Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah.
Lay down.
These were the sons of Basemath,
Lay down.
Esau's wife. These were the sons of Aholibamah, the daughter of Anah, the granddaughter of Zibeon, Esau's wife, whom she bore to Esau: Jeush, Jalam, and Korah.
I love Korah.
These are the sheiks of the sons of Esau, the sons of Eliphaz, Esau's firstborn: Sheik Teman, Sheik Omar, Sheik Zepho, Sheik Kenaz, Sheik Korah, Sheik Gatam, and Sheik Amalek. These are the sheiks of Eliphaz in the land of Edom. These are the sons by Adah. These are the sons of Ruel, Esau's son: Sheik Nahath, Sheik Zerah, Sheik Shema, and Sheik Mizah. These are the sheiks of Ruel in the land of Edom. These are the sons by Basemath, Esau's wife. Finally, these are the sons of Aholibamah, Esau's wife: Sheik Jeush, Sheik Jalam, and Sheik Korah. These are the sheiks of Aholibamah, the daughter of Anah, Esau's wife. These are the sons of Esau, and these are their sheiks. He is Edom. These are the sons of Seir the Horite, the inhabitants of the land: Lotan, Shobal, Zibeon, Anah, Dishon, Ezer, and Dishan. These are the sheiks of the Horites, the sons of Seir, in the land of Edom. The sons of Lotan were Horai and Heman, and Lotan's sister was Timnah. These are the sons of Shobal: Alvan, Manahath, Ebal, Shepho, and Onan. These are the sons of Zibeon: Aya and Anah. This is the Anah who found the hot springs in the wilderness while he was tending the donkeys for Zibeon his father. These are the children of Anah: Dishon and Aholibamah, the daughter of Anah. These are the sons of Dishon: Hemdan, Eshban, Ithran, and Kiran. These are the sons of Ezer: Bilhan, Zaavan, and Akan. These are the sons of Dishan: Az and Aram. These are the sheiks of the Horites: Sheik Lotan, Sheik Shobal, Sheik Zibeon, Sheik Anah, Sheik Dishon, Sheik Ezer, and Sheik Dishan. These are the sheiks of the Horites, according to their sheiks in the land of Seir. Now these are the kings who reigned in the land of Edom, before any king reigned over the Israelites. Bela, son of Beor, reigned in Edom, and the name of his city was Dinhabah. When Bela died, Jobab, son of Zerah from Bozrah, began to reign in his place. When Jobab died, Husham from the land of the Temanites began to reign in his place. When Husham died, Hadad, son of Bedad, who defeated the Midianites in the territory of Moab, began to reign in his place, and the name of his city was Avith. When Hadad died, Samlah from Masrekah began to reign in his place. When Samlah died, Shael from Rehoboth by the river began to reign in his place. When Shael died, Baal-Hanan, the son of Akbor, began to reign in his place. When Baal-Hanan, the son of Akbor, died, Hadad began to reign in his place. The name of his city was Peu, and the name of his wife was Mehetabel, the daughter of Matred, the daughter of Mizahab. So these are the names of the sheiks of Esau, according to their families, according to their places, by their names: Sheik Timnah, Sheik Alva, Sheik Jetheth, Sheik Aholibamah, Sheik Elah, Sheik Pinon, Sheik Kenaz, Sheik Teman, Sheik Mibzah, Sheik Magdiel, and Sheik Iram. These are the sheiks of Edom, according to their settlements in the land of their possession. This is Esau, the father of Edom. Chapter 37. Jacob continued to dwell in the land of Canaan, where his father had lived as a foreigner. This is the history of Jacob. When Joseph was 17 years old, The young man was tending the flock with the sons of Bilhah and the sons of Zilpah, the wives of his father. And Joseph brought a bad report about them to their father. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his other sons, because he was the son of his old age, and he had a special robe made for him. When his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they began to hate him, and they could not speak peaceably to him. Later, Joseph had a dream and told it to his brothers, and they found further reason to hate him. He said to them,
Please listen to this dream that I had. There we were binding sheaves in the middle of the field when my sheaf got up and stood erect, and your sheaves encircled and bowed down to my sheaf.
His brothers said to him,
Are you really going to make yourself king over us and dominate us?
So they found another reason to hate him, because of his dreams and what he said. After that, he had still another dream, and he related it to his brothers.
I have had another dream. This time the sun and the moon and 11 stars were bowing down to me.
Then he related it to his father, as well as his brothers. And his father rebuked him and said to him,
What is the meaning of this dream of yours? Am I, as well as your mother and your brothers, really going to come and bow down to the earth to you?
And his brothers grew jealous of him, but his father kept the saying in mind. His brothers now went to pasture their father's flock near Shechem. Israel later said to Joseph,
Your brothers are tending flocks near Shechem, are they not? Come, and let me send you to them.
At this he said to him,
I am ready.
So he said to him,
Go, please, and see whether your brothers are well. See how the flock is, and bring word back to me.
With that, he sent him away from the valley of Hebron, and he went on toward Shechem. Later, a man found him as he was wandering in a field. The man asked him,
What are you looking for?
To this he said,
I am looking for my brothers. Please tell me, where are they tending flocks?
The man continued,
They have pulled away from here, for I heard them saying, Let us go to Dothan.
So Joseph went after his brothers and found them at Dothan. Now they caught sight of him from a distance, and before he reached them, they began plotting against him to put him to death. So they said to one another,
Look, here comes that dreamer. Come now, let us kill him and pitch him into one of the water pits, and we will say that a vicious wild animal devoured him. Then let us see what will become of his dreams.
When
Whoa,
Reuben heard
sorry.
this, he tried to rescue him from them. So he said,
Let us not take his life.
Reuben said to them,
Do not shed blood. Throw him into this water pit in the wilderness, but do not harm him.
His purpose was to rescue him from them, in order to return him to his father. So as soon as Joseph came to his brothers, they stripped Joseph of his robe, the special robe that he wore, and they took him and threw him into the water pit. At the time the pit was empty. There was no water in it. Then they sat down to eat. When they looked up, there was a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead. Their camels were carrying labdanum gum, balsam, and resinous bark, and they were on their way down to Egypt. At this, Judah said to his brothers,
What profit would there be if we killed our brother and covered over his blood? Come now, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and do not let our hand be upon him. After all, he is our brother, our flesh.
So they listened to their brother. And when the Midianite merchants were passing by, they lifted Joseph up out of the water pit and sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver. These men took Joseph into Egypt. Later, when Reuben returned to the water pit and saw that Joseph was not in the water pit, he ripped his garments apart. When he returned to his brothers, He exclaimed,
The child is gone. And what am I going to do?
So they took Joseph's robe and slaughtered a male goat and dipped the robe in the blood. After that, they sent the special robe to their father and said,
This is what we found. Please examine whether this is your son's robe or not.
Then he examined it and exclaimed,
It is my son's robe. A vicious wild animal must have devoured him. Joseph is surely torn to pieces.
With that, Jacob ripped his garments apart and put sackcloth around his waist and mourned his son for many days. And all his sons and all his daughters kept trying to comfort him, but he kept refusing to take comfort, saying,
I will go down into the grave mourning my son.
And his father continued weeping for him. Now the Midianites sold him in Egypt to Potiphar, a court official of Pharaoh and the chief of the guard. Chapter 38. About that time, Judah left his brothers and pitched his tent near an Adullamite man named Hirah. There Judah saw the daughter of a certain Canaanite named Shua. So he took her and had relations with her, and she became pregnant. Later she bore a son, and he named him Again she became pregnant and bore a son, and named him Onan. Yet again she bore a son, and named him Shelah. He was in Achzib when she bore him. In time, Judah took a wife for his firstborn, and her name was Tamar. But Judah's firstborn, was displeasing to Jehovah, so Jehovah put him to death. In view of that, Judah said to Onan,
Have relations with your brother's wife, and perform brother-in-law marriage with her, and raise up offspring for your brother.
But Onan knew that the offspring would not be considered his. So when he did have relations with his brother's wife, he wasted his semen on the ground, so as not to give offspring to his brother. What he did was bad in the eyes of Jehovah, so he also put him to death. Judah said to Tamar, his daughter-in-law,
Dwell as a widow in the house of your father, until my son Shelah grows up.
For he said to himself,
He too may die like his brothers.
So Tamar went and stayed in her own father's house. Some time passed, and Judah's wife, the daughter of Shua, died. Judah kept the mourning period, and then he went to his sheep shearers in Timnah, with his companion Hirah the Adullamite. Tamar was told,
Here your father-in-law is going up to Timnah to shear his sheep.
With that, she removed her widow's clothing and veiled herself, and covered herself with a shawl, and sat down at the entrance of Enaim, which is on the road to Timnah, for she saw that Shelah had grown up, and yet she had not been given to him as a wife. When Judah caught sight of her, he at once took her for a prostitute, because she had covered her face. So he turned aside to her by the road, and said,
Allow me, please, to have relations with you.
For he did not know that she was his daughter-in-law. However, she said,
What will you give me that you may have relations with me?
To this he said,
I will send a young goat from my herd.
But she said,
Will you give us security until you send it?
He continued,
What security should I give you?
To which she said,
Your seal ring, and your cord, and your rod that is in your hand.
Then he gave them to her, and had relations with her, and she became pregnant by him. After that she got up and went away, and removed her shawl, and clothed herself with her widow's clothing. And Judah sent the young goat by the hand of his companion, the Adullamite, to get back the security from the hand of the woman. But he never found her. He inquired of the men of her place, saying,
Where is that temple prostitute in Enaim along the road?
But they said,
"No temple prostitute has ever been in this place."
Finally, he returned to Judah and said,
I never found her. And besides, the men of the place said, no temple prostitute has ever been in this place.
So Judah said,
"Let her take them for herself, in order that we may not fall into contempt. At any rate, I have sent this young goat, but you never found her."
However, about 3 months later, Judah was told,
"Tamar, your daughter-in-law, has acted as a prostitute, and she is also pregnant by her prostitution."
At that, Judah said,
"Bring her out and let her be burned."
As she was being brought out, she sent word to her father-in-law.
I am
Annoy.
pregnant by the man to whom these belong.
Then she added,
Please examine to whom these belong, the seal ring and the cord and the rod.
Then Judah examined them and said,
"She is more righteous than I am, because I did not give her to Shelah, my son."
And he had no further sexual relations with her after that. When the time came for her to give birth, there were twins in her womb. As she was giving birth, one put out his hand, and the midwife immediately took a scarlet thread and tied it around his hand, saying,
"This one came out first."
But as soon as he drew back his hand, his brother came out, and she exclaimed,
"What a breach you have made for yourself."
So he was named Perez. Afterward his brother came out, around whose hand the scarlet thread was tied, and he was named Zerah. Chapter 39. Now Joseph was taken down to Egypt, and an Egyptian named Potiphar, a court official of Pharaoh and chief of the guard, bought him from the Ishmaelites who had taken him down there. But Jehovah was with Joseph. As a result, he became successful and was put over the house of his master, the Egyptian. And his master saw that Jehovah was with him, and that Jehovah was making everything that he did successful. Joseph kept finding favor in his eyes, and he became his personal attendant. So he appointed him over his house, and he put him in charge of all that was his. From the time he appointed him over his house and in charge of all that was his, Jehovah kept blessing the house of the Egyptian because of Joseph, and Jehovah's blessing came to be on all that he had, in the house and in the field. He eventually left everything that was his in Joseph's care, and he gave no thought to anything except the food he was eating. Moreover, Joseph grew to be well built and handsome. Now after these things, the wife of his master began to cast her eyes on Joseph and say,
Lie down with me.
But he refused and said to his master's wife,
Here, my master does not know what is with me in the house, and he has entrusted everything he has into my care. There is no one greater in this house than I am, and he has not withheld from me anything at all except you, because you are his wife. So how could I commit this great badness and actually sin against God?
So day after day she spoke to Joseph, but he never consented to lie with her or to remain with her. But on one of the days when he went into the house to do his work, none of the household servants were in the house. Then she grabbed hold of him by his garment and said,
Lie down with me.
But he left his garment in her hand and fled outside. As soon as she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and had fled outside, she began to cry out to the men of her house and to say to them,
Look, he brought to us this Hebrew man to make us a laughingstock. He came to me to lie down with me, but I began to cry out at the top of my voice. Then, as soon as he heard me raising my voice and screaming, he left his garment beside me and fled outside.
After that, she laid his garment beside her until his master came to his house. Then she told him the same thing, saying,
The Hebrew servant whom you brought to us came to me to make me a laughing stock. But as soon as I raised my voice and began to scream, he left his garment beside me and fled outside.
As soon as his master heard the words his wife spoke to him, saying, "These are the things your servant did to me," his anger blazed. So Joseph's master took him and gave him over to the prison, the place where the prisoners of the king were kept under arrest, and he remained there in the prison. But Jehovah continued with Joseph and kept showing loyal love to him and granting him favor in the eyes of the chief officer of the prison. So the chief officer of the prison put Joseph in charge of all the prisoners in the prison, and everything that they were doing there, he was the one having it done. The chief officer of the prison was looking after absolutely nothing that was in Joseph's care, for Jehovah was with Joseph, and Jehovah made whatever he did successful.
Right, one last chapter.
Chapter 40. After these things, the chief cupbearer of the king of Egypt and the chief baker sinned against their lord, the king of Egypt. So Pharaoh grew indignant at his two officers, the chief cupbearer and the chief baker, and he committed them to the jail of the house of the chief of the guard, to the place where Joseph was a prisoner. Then the chief of the guard assigned Joseph to be with them and to take care of them, and they remained in jail for some time. The cupbearer and the baker of the king of Egypt, who were confined in the prison, each had a dream on the same night, and each dream had its own interpretation. The next morning, when Joseph came in and saw them, they looked dejected. So he asked the officers of Pharaoh, who were in custody with him in his master's house,
Why are your faces gloomy today?
At this they said to him,
We each had a dream, but there is no interpreter with us.
Joseph said to them,
Do not interpretations belong to God? Relate it to me, please.
So the chief cupbearer related his dream to Joseph, saying to him,
In my dream there was a vine before me, and on the vine there were 3 twigs, and as it was sprouting shoots, it blossomed, and its clusters ripened into grapes. And Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes and squeezed them out into Pharaoh's cup. After that, I put the cup in Pharaoh's hand.
Then Joseph said to him,
This is its interpretation. The 3 twigs are 3 days. 3 days from now, Pharaoh will bring you out, restoring you to your office, and you will put Pharaoh's cup into his hand as you did before when you were his cupbearer. Nevertheless, you must remember me when things go well with you. Please, show me loyal love and mention me to Pharaoh in order to get me out of this place. I was, in fact, kidnapped from the land of the Hebrews, and I have not done anything here for which they should put me in prison.
When the chief baker saw that Joseph had interpreted something good, he said to him,
I too was in my dream, and there were 3 baskets of white bread on my head. And in the top basket, there were all sorts of baked goods for Pharaoh. And there were birds eating them out of the basket on top of my head.
Then Joseph answered,
This is its interpretation. The 3 baskets are 3 days. 3 days from now, Pharaoh will behead you and will hang you on a stake, and the birds will eat your flesh from you.
Now the 3rd day was Pharaoh's birthday, and he made a feast for all his servants. And he brought out both the chief cupbearer and the chief baker in the presence of his servants. And he returned the chief cupbearer to his post of cupbearer, and he continued to hand the cup to Pharaoh. But he hanged the chief baker, just as Joseph had interpreted to them. However, the chief cupbearer did not remember Joseph. He kept forgetting him.
And that will be it for today. Sorry I kept dozing off. I don't know why, but I'm sorry. So once again, Kim, if you see this, I do StreamYards on Saturdays, so I'll send you the link just in case you have time. So I love everybody. Love it. Love, don't judge. Peace out.